enthusiasm. We went about half in, half out. It's hot outside, and we're playing at night, so we're trying to get a little bit of practice in the climate, but a little bit in as well. I thought the kids were really energized today and really pushed hard. We get a chance to do a lot of good on good because of the similarities in the offenses and defense. So the players like going against each other a little better.
I know it's an advantage. You know, you just mentioned it. It's an advantage that they get the chance to enjoy as well. But it's not something you really get to do all that often. Kind of practice against yourself a little bit. Is that a little bit of an advantage? You feel like for you to a little bit of a comfort level as far as that goes?
I mean, they get the same thing.
Right.
So it's a little bit. I told the players. I mean, it's not like our offense is not exactly like theirs, and our defense is not exactly like theirs, but there are similarities. So with that, you get some overlap. You're able to run some plays that both teams run, and we practice against each other every week anyway. So we see a lot of the same plays most of the time, but it does allow for you to go a little more, what I call good on good, and give the guys more competitive reps. But they're at the same situation.
Coach, 4 games into the season, what do you know about your team that you didn't know at the start of the year?
That they're resilient, that they respond to our days that haven't been great at practice. They've responded well too. That's usually the first sign that they're the right kind of guys. And then adversity strikes, and they respond to that. I mean, we're not easy on them out there. We're tough on them, and they embrace it. And the older guys kind of lead with a message of, they're pushing you because they want you to be great. And that's usually the sign of a good team that can handle, number one, adversity, but number two, tough coaching.
What's the next step now? What else do you want to see?
Well, I want to see them grow. I want to see us continue to improve. I mean, there's a lot of teams that will hit game 5, 6, 7, and they plateau. And the teams that are best continue to get better. And I don't know what this team's going to do game 5, 6, 7. We got to see. But I want to see them continue to grow and improve.
So other evaluation that question. So on the defensive side of the ball, what type of things have you seen since Notre Dame, looking at that and then going through the bye week? What areas do you think they've improved on, and where are you hoping to see some more improvement?
Well, I mean, you're always trying to get better on defense. We're trying to create ways to make negative plays, have new wrinkles, allow the guys to play fast, play more players. We're trying to improve on our tackling. It's not something that we've been satisfied with. We get out of position and reach a lot of times, and we're not forcing the number of turnovers that we need to force in order to be a top defense. So there's a lot of things we're really looking to improve on defensively. And hey, our guys are pushing each day out there. They're trying to get better, and they push each other.
Is there anything that you've seen at all that has surprised you in terms of how they perform?
Not really. I mean, our guys work hard defensively. I haven't been shocked at anything. I've been very pleased. It's usually how you practice is how you carry over into games, and our kids, have practiced hard on both sides of the ball, and they played hard.
Kirby, how has Jake Marta responded from the Notre Dame game during the open date in these 2 practices, and are you sticking with him this week?
Jake's done a good job. I mean, he's responded well. He continues to work really hard. We have punt periods. We measure his height, his distance, his hang, his direction kicking, how well he's doing that, and he continues to work on that. He gets lots of shots at it, and as well as the other guys. We've rolled other guys in there with ones, and we'll see how it goes Saturday to see punts.
Did you get to see last weekend y'all off Ohio State or Washington? Have you been able to see what your former quarterbacks are doing at those places?
I watched the SEC games. I saw highlights of both those games, but I didn't. I watched mostly the SEC games, which most of those were at night, and got to see those. But I saw highlights of the others.
Both guys are doing pretty well. Just wondering your thoughts on.
I'll be honest with you, I hadn't seen them much. My focus is on Tennessee right now, and I'm grinding on Tennessee.
Is there much difference in the Tennessee quarterbacks in terms of how you would defend them?
There's subtle differences. I mean, one's played a lot of ball and one hasn't played as much ball. And when you start looking at those 2 combinations, a lot of things. I mean, they may have Juwan Jennings at quarterback, so maybe a lot of guys at quarterback.
Coach, I'm curious with the Bills
passed in California, how your thoughts on the impact that'll have on college?
Yeah, I defer to the SEC on that. Our commissioner does a great job leading us in the right direction, and I know we've got our president's done a great job of being on the committee, the name, image, and likeness, and he does a great job. They'll be looking at all the different angles of it and seeing how it impacts college football.
You've you said a bunch of times, got to come ready to play in the SEC every week, and you really seem to be high on Tennessee's talent level, especially their young talent. So I want to see if you haven't been a part of a lot of these teams that have started off kind of as slowly as they have gotten off to the rough start, but does it make a team dangerous when they're kind of backs against the wall a little bit, really almost desperate for something good to happen for them like that? Does that make them maybe a little bit more dangerous?
I think every team's dangerous. I mean, when I watch college football every Saturday, every team is dangerous. You're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds whose mind is not where your mind is. My mind is there 98% of the time. Okay, their mind's there probably 5 to 10% of the time. Every team is dangerous, starting with Tennessee.
Kirby, you said that Trey Hill, you want him to strain a little longer on the field.
I want everybody to.
Yeah.
I want to strain harder and longer. I want Jordan Davis to strain harder and longer.
Well, I was gonna ask
want Trey Hill to.
I was going to ask what exactly that means.
Okay, it means when you strain on a play and you block a guy, I want you to do it longer and harder. So if you do it for 4 seconds, I want you to do it for 5 or 6. If you do it for 7, I want you to do it for 8 or 9. I want you to do it until the echo of the whistle. And that's harder and longer. And that's for every player on the team, not just Trey Hill. It's for every guy. Jake Fromm, I want him to strain harder and longer to make it perfect.
You had talked about with Trey when he was, I guess, first got a chance to play center in a game about his snaps being a little high. Obviously, he seems to have,
He still has high ones in practice. He has thousands of snaps out there.
Yeah.
I don't think you can be 1,000 for 1,000. So he has to continue to improve on his snaps and the pace of his snaps, but he's done a good job so far. And to go in the environment he went into at Kentucky, I thought it was an incredible job. But he continues to grow and get better, and he's a guy that he'll tell you he needs fire and motivation under him because it's come easy for him. He's very talented. He's athletic, but his brother will tell you, both his brothers will tell you, his dad will tell you, he needs a fire lit under him to motivate him sometimes because he's athletic.
With Cade Mays in his sort of recruitment process, what were you sort of telling him and sort of pitching him on coming to Georgia, given the ties that he had in Tennessee, both when he was a committed prospect and when he opened his sort of recruitment?
Just opportunity. I mean, he's a super talented guy that plays the game the right way with toughness and passion, and he had an opportunity. I mean, we were low on linemen, and he knew he could come in and help us. And, Coach Pittman had a great relationship with him, and he chose to come. So, I mean, the sell was the education at Georgia and the opportunity to play early.
How close do you think Julian Rochester is to? I mean, I've seen him out there working. I know you said he was cleared and he's just working his way back. Where's his progress?
He's cleared and he's working his way back. I mean, he's out there competing. I don't know what it is you guys have got on this whole Julian Rochester kick. Julian is progressing to get better. He had an ACL injury, which happened a little later than most of our ACLs, and he's continuing to work. I really don't know how to answer the question because I feel like y'all keep asking about him like y'all are expecting him to run out there and start and play. And when he's ready to play and he's like better than the guys that he's going against or the guys that he's behind, then he'll play.
Did he suffer that injury in the Sugar Bowl? Is that when that
I'm not
happened?
sure exactly when it happened. It was a weird deal. It was either the SEC championship and he didn't really know it, or it was the Sugar Bowl. Technically, I don't know. I just remember when the surgery occurred.
Gotcha.
Yeah, speaking of defensive line, it appears that a lot of people are pointing to that as a possible weak spot for Georgia this year. It seems like they've played really well. But what's been your assessment?
I think we've got a committee, and I've said that. We've got a bunch of guys that play really hard. We have no one dominant player. A lot of our success in the defensive line has come from creative things on the edges, different looks, multiple things, more pressures. It's not just them. But a lot of the negative criticism that came wasn't fair to them because they were put in a tough situation. No defensive line just rolls out there and rushes 3 guys and 4 guys and dominates. I mean, it's just not going to happen day in and day out in our league. So to help them out, you got to get some single blocks. You got to get, more people coming. You got to cause havoc. and that has helped them to have the freedom to make some more plays. But we'll continue to evaluate those guys. They work really hard. I mean, and we got a group of guys that are like, they work hard, and there's a group of them, they all share the reps, they share the load. So, sure, we want our guys to be more productive and create more negative loss yardage plays, but I'm very pleased with how hard they play and the understanding they play within our scheme. And when you say defensive line, you got to make sure are you saying the interiors, or are you talking about everybody that puts their hand in the dirt up there? Because there's other guys that put their hand in the dirt, the outside backer guys.
How does the chess game, I don't know if that's the right analogy, but the chess game change when there is the familiarity? I know you said it comes down to the blocking and the tackling and all that, but when you know what they know, what you know, I mean, how deep does that really go in the thinking?
I think you got to be careful, because I mean, with the unique deal in the SEC where there's a large tree that comes from one coach, there's just a lot of guys, whether you're playing McElwain, you're playing, Muschamp, you're playing Derek Dooley, and Missouri. You got to be careful that you're not chasing ghosts. And I learned that, early on, that you can go out there and overthink all this and get into all that, and then you're outthinking yourself. At the end of the day, what can I do to get my guys to play at a high level and efficiently? Efficiently is no busts, because that's what you're trying to avoid, is mistakes, and that's what we're trying to do, not overcomplicate things.
Speaking of no bus, how do you think Richard LeCount has done this year, especially with the stuff that you wanted him to do, taking the right angles, all the fundamentals?
He's getting better. I mean, he continues to work hard at it. I'm on him every day to understand the ins and outs of our defenses, to be the commanding leader of his side, because it's not as easy as JR makes the call. A lot of times they're working two independent sides, and he continues to work on that and improve on it. So I'm very pleased that he's coming in extra, meeting, learning this stuff. But it's always a work in progress back there, because we challenge them mentally.
Is that kind of the same viewpoint you have with the inside linebackers room with, Tay and Monty always fine for playing time at the top of the rotation? You have talent codes further down. Is it the same way, looking at them just day by day?
Yeah, they have the best understanding of our defense, Tay and Monty do. But the other guys are probably just as talented, in some cases, if not more, but they're still learning the ins and outs of it, and they do a good job. We've got 4 to 5 guys that we feel comfortable playing at inside backer, and we've got a good depth issue to have. The issue is a couple of those guys. I mean, Tay's going to be gone next year, so we're going to be looking to replace him.
Any update on Tyson Campbell as far as his progress goes?
Yeah, he wasn't able to go today. He's running. He's running faster. He's picking up speed, but he's not able to go right now.
Kinley?
Yeah, Solomon got to go a good bit. We think he's going to be okay. I mean, it's going to be a matter of whether he's mentally ready to play more than physically ready to play. He's in a similar situation that Isaiah Wilson was in the week of Notre Dame.
With him, sort of being uncertain, is there any thought to maybe working Cade Mays at that left guard spot?
Not right now. I mean, we feel good that Justin Schaefer's playing good football. Cade will alternate with some backup stuff, because Cade kind of backs up a lot of positions, but and we've got other guys that can play left guard.
You talked after the game about George Pickens getting the ball more downfield. Where is he at in his evolution as far as what he's been working on the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I'm not really saying just down the field. I'm saying the ball in general, because he does a good job with his whole route tree. He's got really good quickness and explosiveness. He's shown up really good on our GPS system. We're trying to find ways to get him the ball and get him touches, and he continues to develop and grow. So we're trying to find ways to get a lot of guys the ball more, and he's one of those.
With that in mind, one of the things that the metrics show is pace of play. Getting more guys the ball, that doesn't necessarily wouldn't that translate to playing more plays? And what are your thoughts on tempo? And
yeah, we go tempo. I mean, we've gone tempo in every game. So I mean, we don't mind tempo. We practice tempo. Tempo is part of our offense, and we're certainly capable of doing it.
2 more questions. Kirby, I think you talked about Jennings yesterday. What about Callaway, Palmer, the challenge those guys present for you guys in the passing game?
Both those guys are very experienced. It seems like they've been there forever. Know a lot about them and all their wideouts. They got size. They've got a lot of catch radius. They're both explosive players. Callaway does a great job with punt returns, and they're fast guys, and they're really tough matchups size-wise out on the perimeter, and they both are really physical blockers.
I was just wondering, there's been some worry about Roquan Smith. Have you heard from him at all, or know anything about what might be going on with him?
I have not talked to Roquan. I haven't talked to Roquan, but our thoughts are with him.